Hello and welcome back to another episode of Love It or Shove It. This is the talk show where we talk about love and relationship and how do we actually understand ourselves better as well as our partners. And we are bringing all different topics to the stage, and you either love it or you just say, okay, it's not my jam, and you just shove it. And if this is the first time you're tuning in, hello, my name is Irina Portnova. I'm all about manifestation. How do you manifest the best love? That is somebody who you really want to be around, somebody who really listens to you, somebody who can actually spend the time and do things together and grow together and evolve together. And I'm here with my co host, Bruno Gill. Bruno, would you like to say a couple of words about yourself?
Yes, of course. So my name is Bruno. I'm a self-love coach. I help women become more confident, more expressive, more authentic, and have more self-love for themselves, of course, as well. Yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm. And today we are having a great topic, which is fully devoted or easily distracted, because there is a difference between the devotion and distraction. So let's just unpack one by one what exactly, why attention isn't the same as devotion, because this is something that majority of the couples is confusing when it comes to attraction, attention, and devotion. Attention can feel very exciting because it creates emotional stimulation. Someone texts often, they compliment you, they express the desire, they say beautiful things. And in the beginning, that can really feel like deep investment. But attention is often based on emotion in the moment. It's something that, people have the attraction. This is temporary excitement and emotional availability when it feels good. And devotion, on the other hand, is something different. Devotion shows itself through consistency, through reliability, through emotional focus over time, and actions that actually continue even after the excitement settles. Because honestly, it's easy to give attention when emotions are high. And the real question becomes, can someone stay emotionally engaged when the relationship requires steadiness, patience, and effort? So let's look how it actually show up in the real life. For instance, if someone message us constantly at the beginning, say how much they miss us, talk about the future plans, make you feel emotionally desired, but over time these plans never happen, communication becomes inconsistent, and the relationship doesn't actually deepen. So now that connection is surviving on emotional excitement, not real commitment, because that could actually create the confusion because the words sound emotionally invested, but the behavior never fully supported the relationship. For instance, a man can say, I can't wait to take you away somewhere, and the idea feels very romantic. You emotionally connect to that vision, but weeks or months pass by and nothing gets planned, nothing gets booked, nothing moves forward. And now it's no longer about the trip itself, it's more about, can I trust the words? Do I actually see that the actions support the feeling? And am I just emotionally devoted or emotionally impulsive in the moment? And it's very important for us to really see the truth, because attention creates emotional excitement, but devotion creates emotional safety. And healthy relationships eventually stop measuring how intensely somebody feels, and they start measuring how consistently someone shows up. Bruno, would you like to say something about it?
Yeah, of course. No, you're right. No, you're correct. Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, obviously, when things are brand new and everything is way more intense, 100%, of course, things are yeah, they're more romantic. Like the feeling is there, and I mean, it takes I guess a lot of heart and a lot of desire to also keep things flowing and keep things better, right? Or keep things like, um, I guess, consistent, right? Not just intense, because obviously, intensity comes and goes. Consistency is what the most important. And I think that like you either are what you say you are, or you're just full of shit, right? And at the end of the day, a lot of people, they're just full of shit, right? I myself as well have been through that. I was also full of shit, but I also understood that it wasn't for me. And if something that's not for you, you should be blessed to be full of shit, because if you keep on pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring, if you keep on pouring into a cup that you don't want to be pouring into, you're giving much more of yourself that you want, and you're making it a problem for yourself, because it's even more than you not wanting to. It's just you just don't see it, and that's just what it is, right? And you have to admit it. And that's it, right? So I mean, I guess like what people have to understand is what their priorities are. If their priorities is the relationship itself, fantastic. And if it's not the relationship, then it's not. And it doesn't even matter, to be fair. Because if it mattered enough, like obviously people would do something about it. But because it doesn't matter enough, then people don't do much about it. And that's just what it is. And there's no point in people grilling themselves, and there's no point in people like be fighting for something they don't want to fight. It's like the love is supposed to. It's not supposed like the love is supposed to be stronger than anything. No, the love is not supposed to be stronger than anything, because it's not just the love that counts. It's everything. It's your desire to make it work in the first place, right? Yeah, the love is there maybe like in the first 6 months, maybe a year, maybe two, but after that is you building something together that you wouldn't want to build with anybody else, right? You're devoted to one thing and one thing alone, right? You're devoted to one thing and one thing alone, which is the relationship. And I myself have my way of devoting myself to a relationship where, like I like my freedom in the relationship, but I also know that there's certain things where that freedom can actually be quite toxic, right? And for other people, maybe what I consider freedom is toxic, and maybe what I consider toxic for people would be freedom, right? We're all different. And obviously, we all have our types and the kind of relationships that we want to be in, right? As long as we are not hypocrites, then that's all that matters. And
Mhm.
but then again, it's like it's when things get tough that you really see the strength of the relationship, right? And how strong, yeah, and how strong people are. And if you're not strong enough, everything will collapse, right? So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's up to people to see honestly like um what can be done to strengthen the relationship. There if there is obviously something that can like fuck up the relationship uh, in the perception of the of somebody in the relationship, then 100%, of course, like that's something that people have to talk about, try and reach a consensus, right? Try and try and reach consensus, and if they can reach consensus. So of course, for some people, being fully devoted means one thing, and maybe for other people, being fully devoted means others, right? Because what people truly want is for the person to be fully devoted to the priorities, right? That their partner, right? So let me put it this way: what I want for a relationship is for my partner to be fully devoted to my priorities, just like I am in perspective. And what my partner wants, or what my partner would want in this case, right? What my partner would want would be for obviously her priorities to be respected, and for me to be devoted to her priorities as well, right? And I think that that's a lot of it, because a lot of the relationships, people can say, oh, you know, in relationships you gotta be selfless and this and that. But most people, when they're in the relationship, they're still more selfish than selfless. You know, they just found somebody who respects their selfish acts, right? So ultimately, that's ultimately about it. You know, it's like this idea that, you know, people, oh, I'm fully devoted to my partner, so I'm not selfish. No, you're full of shit completely. You know, you are selfish. You just found somebody who respects your selfish acts, right? Because maybe the other person also has their selfish acts, and you're hoping, you know, they're hoping, and they're, you know, they have faith that you respect that as well, right? It just depends on what is considerable, you know, what is it just depends on what is acceptable in the relationship as a selfish act, and what it's, you know, considered stupid, right? So like I had women where that I had relationships with where I did what I wanted. I never cheated. I never lied. I never backstabbed anybody. I never done any of those things in relationships. But I've done things that, you know, obviously women didn't accept, right? And we tried to reach a consent, and it just didn't fucking work. And that's what it is. That's fine. You know, that's simple. That's what it is. You know. Yeah. So although I
So what?
was fully
Yeah. So what I'm
although
hearing is like people have to be on the same page, and I feel that
yeah,
it's important
100%.
to know exactly what partners want when they are in the relationship, because
Exactly.
again, it's easy to get sidetracked when things are just, like emotionally excited. But when it comes to the real life, people realize that they have different visions on the life and the partnership. So let's move on with point of talking why distracted energy weakens connection, because deep relationships require focus. And again, I love to say this phrase that the way we show up in one area of our life, this is the way we show up in every other area of our life. If the person is committed, that commitment is going to show up in relationship, in work, in business, in all other areas of life. So deep relationships require focus, not obsessed focus, not constant attention, but emotional presence. It means being mentally, emotionally, and energetically engaged in that relationship. Because when the energy is distracted, it weakens connection because it creates inconsistency. So, one moment someone feels fully invested, they are emotionally expressive, they are affectionate, they're connected. And the next moment, emotionally absent, unavailable, focused everywhere except that relationship. So, that inconsistency slowly destabilizes the emotional trust. And the way it can show up in the real life is when the person says you are important to me, but their attention constantly shifts, whether they're consumed with something that they're working on, or social media becomes the focus, or other distractions take emotional priority, and the relationship feels like it just receives the leftover energy. Now that connection begins feeling emotionally unstable, not because love is not there, but because devotion keeps competing with distraction. So, when a couple may have strong feelings for each other, but if one person is always distracted, emotionally unavailable, inconsistent with communication, unable to stay present, that's exactly when the other partner starts feeling emotionally alone inside that relationship, not because of one big betrayal, but because the relationship is never receiving that emotional focus that the partner desire. So the truth is, connection deepens where energy is consistently invested. And relationships weaken when attention becomes scattered instead of intentional. And the true devotion shows up through actions, not just feelings, because nobody says that feelings are not important. They are important, but feelings alone do not really hold that relationship. because feelings naturally fluctuate. People get stressed, people get overwhelmed, distracted, emotionally reactive. And the real foundation of love is not how deeply do I feel, it's more how consistently do my actions support the relationship. That's what creates emotional trust. And the way it can show up in the real life is someone may genuinely love you deeply, but if they don't communicate clearly, if they avoid difficult conversations, if they fail to follow through, if they disappear emotionally during important moments, the relationship starts suffering. Because love that only exists emotionally but not behaviorally creates emotional confusion. For instance, a person says, "You mean everything to me," but they don't prioritize time together. They don't see the important conversation, right? They do not commit themselves. So now that relationship survives on emotional just distraction, and it's not showing up the way that people really want to be, right? So the truth is, devotion is not proven in emotional intensity. It's proven in repeated actions, in emotional reliability, and continued participation when two people are actually building that relationship. Because eventually relationships stop listening to promises and start responding to the patterns, right? Oops.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know what happened. I'm sorry about that. Continue.
Mhm. Yeah. So I just wrapped it up. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Fantastic. Great. Um, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I heard pretty much everything you said anyways. It was maybe like a space of a minute anyways. Um, yeah, so yeah, 100%. I mean, I agree with everything you said, actually, of course. I agree with what you said. Yeah, I mean, you have to be fully devoted. You gotta follow, I guess the right protocol in the relationship. For you to say, because you cannot say that you're fully devoted, but then you don't act like it.
Mm-hmm.
Actions always speak louder than words. So I guess communication is a big part of it. Patience is a big part of it. Um, Obviously, accountability is a big part of it. Accountability towards yourself, accountability towards the relationship. I think keeping your promises is a big part of it, and I guess loving your partner the way your partner wants to be loved, and not the way you believe you should be loving your partner, and not the way you believe your partner should be loved by you, not the way your partner actually wants to be loved. I think that's very important to respect that, and just try and praise that. And if you make a mistake, just apologize. Say sorry. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it just shows a lot of character, it shows a lot of bravery, and that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it. I think that, um, yeah, I think that a lot of times, being fully devoted, you know, being fully devoted is fantastic. It's really good. Sounds really nice on paper, but at the end of the day, the more the years go by, it either becomes easier because you guys develop systems, right? You guys develop cues. You guys have developed ways, obviously, for you guys to know how to deal with each other, right? Or it's just gonna be very much, it's just gonna be very much, it's gonna be tough, to survive. Obviously the winters and the autumns and even the summers, right? You guys gotta know how to deal with each other, and that's the most important thing. So,
So let's talk about why real love requires focus. Because love, again, love is different for each couple. Each couple is supposed to decide what is something that's for them. There is no such thing as the same formula that can apply to everybody, but it has to feel good for both of people, right? So love
mhm.
deepens when people intentionally continue nurturing the relationship. It doesn't mean that there are no arguments. It doesn't mean that everything flows smoothly, because each relationship has to I mean, each relationship, meaningful relationships, supposed to make us grow and evolve, right? So that means we might look at some things that we are doing and see how we can do things differently. And love deepens when people intentionally continue nurturing that relationship. Not only when it's exciting, not only when it's easy, not only when emotions are high, but consistently. And again, it's not for everyone because not everyone knows how to be consistent. And there is something that people are learning. So, real love
Hmm.
requires attention, emotional presence, conscious effort over time because relationships naturally weaken when they are emotionally neglected. What
Hmm.
conversations, following through on the plans, checking in emotionally, staying engaged during difficult moments, continuing to invest into connection over time, not just emotionally feeling love, but actively participating in it. So when one person says, I love you, and they show it by making time even when they are busy, communicating when things feel off, prioritizing the relationship consistently, continue to nurture the connection long after the honeymoon phase, that's the focus. And focus creates emotional security because you cannot build deep love while giving something away where people continue choosing each other and knowing that like this is my person and I want to be with that person, and they choose that person intentionally every day because there will be always somebody that is there just like to distract them. But if the person knows why they are together, this is something that keeps them grounded, this is something that they are willing to work. And that devotion creates emotional safety because at the deepest level, people are not only looking for attraction, they are looking for emotional safety. And the feeling that someone is present, the feeling that someone is reliable, someone is emotionally invested, and someone will continue showing up consistently, that's what allows love to relax and deepen. And the way it might look in the real life is in emotionally safe relationships, communication is consistent, action match the words, plans actually happen, and emotional presence remains steady over time. So you stop constantly wondering, do they care? Where do I stand? Will they pull away? Because the relationship feels emotionally grounded. So instead of mixed feelings, instead of mixed signals, inconsistency, and emotional highs and lows, you experience steadiness, reliability, follow through, and emotional clarity. And surprisingly, that creates a much deeper intimacy than constant butterflies ever could. Because the deepest form of love is not emotional intensity, it's the experience of being consistently chosen, being consistently supported, being consistently prioritized, and emotionally held over time. Bruno, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like, again, like being fully devoted. Like when you say fully devoted, right? You're fully, you are, it's your entire self, it's your time, it's your heart, it's your mind, it's your soul, it's your words, it's your posture, it's your consistency, it's your accountability, it's the way you show up, it's the way you speak, it's the way you listen, it's the way you're patient, it's the way you interact. You're fully, it's your entire being, it's your entire self, you're fully devoted into the relationship, right? um that for many people is really really hard because most people can stick with fuck, like they can stick with fuck for 5 minutes. Might as well fully devoting themselves, to something that can last, that has a lot of potential. So at the end of the day, this is not just a relationship problem. This is an attention problem. You know, this is again people not knowing how to plan, not knowing how to schedule, people not knowing how to prioritize, people not knowing how to again plan accordingly. But more importantly than that, it's people not knowing what needs to be taken care of first. And all these things are very important, right? All these things are crucial for your life to work, for your relationship to work as well, right? Things have to be planned, you need to be organized, you need to be structured, right? Moving with adventure and moving impulsively, last minute decisions are all very fun and exciting. Yeah, in the beginning, when you're getting to know each other, when you want to create that spark, when you want to create that vibe. But then, like in the future, like if you truly want to build something with that person, you have to develop a plan. You have to develop a strategy. You need to develop some organization, right? For things to flow, for things to work, for you guys to be on a schedule together, right? My advice is do all that. I think that is the way to do things, right? For you guys to plan it out. But at the end of the day, like if it was me, I'm somebody who, if I spend too much time with someone, I'm gonna lose my head. Like I'm gonna fucking lose my shit. I need some time for myself. If I don't have that time for myself, I'm going to lose myself. I need to be with myself. I need to be within my own energy as well. Does that mean I'm going to isolate myself for a week? No, I'm not going to isolate myself for a week, of course. But I want to be within my own energy, and as well, right? And I think you guys as well should understand that. Pretty sure a lot of you guys also like to have your alone time, like to do things on your own as well. If you guys have a good relationship with yourselves and with who you are, you guys want that, right? Another thing here, and this is obviously we have to wrap it up because it's some already half an
Mhm.
hour. Last thing is, I've said this before in a lot of like episodes, but I keep coming back to this because I think this is like make this is what makes or breaks the relationship when it comes to do you actually love your partner or not, which is then again, why are you fully devoted? Are you fully devoted because you truly love your partner, or are you fully devoted because you're afraid of losing them, because you don't feel man enough, you don't feel woman enough, if you're alone and you feel too lonely, right? Because there's two ways that we can see this. There's this way that I just explained, or there's also the way where it's a bit more direct. It's not a question, it's an affirmation, it's a statement. Okay. People who people who love you for you, right? The only thing they're afraid of is to hurt you and if you die, right? And the people who love you but are merely interested in you are really only want to be around you because of how they make you feel, right? Because of how you make them feel in this case, right? So the people who truly love you are only worried about two things: if you die and hurting you. They don't want to hurt you whatsoever because they know you won't cheat, because they know you won't lie, because they know you won't them, because they know that you'll be loyal, right? There's that, and then there's people only loving you, people only wanting to be around you, people only interested in being with you, in being in the same environment as you, because of how you make them feel, right? Because of how alive they feel around you, right? If the only thing that a person could say in a relationship, in a relationship is, if the only thing a person could say in a relationship is, well, I got attracted to him because of how he made me feel. When I looked in his eyes, I felt a spark. I felt alive. I felt something. I've never felt like this before with anybody else. I don't know what's going on. If that is what comes out of somebody's mouth more than, you know, your actual qualities as a person and how amazing you are, then I'm sorry, that person doesn't love you for you. That person loves for how they make you feel, for how you make them feel. So yeah, it's actually if it's like that, then it's not love, it's usage. It's pretty much bondage. If that spark was never there, the person would never give a shit. So I'm front because I guess this is what was applicable to my life. Don't know if it's applicable to yours or not, but yeah, to my life, 100% yes.
So I just wanted to wrap up and to add that everybody has their own priorities, and there is no
100%.
point to stay with the person who has different priorities. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the saying that if the person you are with doesn't want to do what you would love them to do, then you choose somebody who would, because you always
Yes.
have the choice, right? And there
Right.
are people, that's why there is that,
100%.
like the compatibility exists, right? So it's not just on the attraction, it's just like really understanding what is the essence of that person, what are the traits that something that you are really aligned with,
Mm-hmm.
because the attraction is something that goes away with the time, no matter how much the
Yep.
love is, right? Again, attraction, we are mistaken attraction for love. Love and attraction,
Mhm.
it's two different things.
Yeah,
But
of course.
if you really want to be with the partner, that you don't have to play small, that you do not have to bend yourself, because you know that their values are not aligned with yours. You
Mm-hmm.
can choose the partner who is going to be exactly the way that you desire, because everything is possible if we are really manifesting it and we really put our attention and we are not settling for less, because that's the
100%.
beauty of life, right? So the
Yep.
idea is not to be afraid to lose something that
Of
is
course.
less in order to find something that really, make you emotionally connected, something that gives you the fulfillment in everything what you desire. And again, not every person can do for you what you desire, but you can always choose the one who will. And that's exactly the
Mm-hmm.
beauty of life. All right.
Yeah,
That was a great episode. So
100%.
share this with someone who might benefit from it. And again, thanks so much, Teresa, for joining. Thanks so much for everybody who is tuning in. Just comment replay if you are watching in the replay. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll be back on in the next week in the next episode. Let us know. Let us know what is for you devotion, what is for you distraction, and if you want us to cover other topics, just let us know. All right. See you next time. Bye.